Hey there, it's Kat, and this is Brews and Reviews. You may be wondering, where's your brew, Kat? And the answer to that question would be, it's late and I would like to sleep tonight, so no brew for me right now. So it is currently Thursday, the Thursday before Good Friday, and I decided that I wanted to kick off a vlog because I've got 4 days of free time in which I am also very busy, but I am hoping to get a lot of reading done. Hopefully I can do that, and I just want to talk to you guys briefly about the books that I'm going to read, and then I'll just, do vlog things. I'm actually currently midway through quite a few books. As it is the Magical Readathon, I have been reading quite a few books. I have been trying to fit a lot of books in, a number of chapters per day, and sort of keeping myself reading consistently throughout, and this weekend should actually be like the time when I finish some of the bigger ones, so I'm going to start off by talking about those. The first one that I'm likely to finish is A Court of Mist and Fury by Sarah J Maas. I have, I'm going to say 40 pages left of this, and that end section is a good section, so I'm very much looking forward to that. I am going to be reading this tonight and hopefully finishing it, because that's great, and I have so much enjoyed rereading this book and just being in this world again. I just love it, and I love these characters, and I just... So I will check in with you guys when I've actually finished this one, but yeah, that is the first one I'm likely to finish in this vlog. The next book, which is one that I'm planning to finish tomorrow because I have 78 pages left of it, is The Stand by Stephen King, this giant chunky beast. I have like very, very little of this book left. I'm so close to the end. At over 1,300 pages, it is the biggest book on my TBR, and it will soon be the biggest book that I have ever read. So that's something. I definitely have some thoughts on this book, and I'm really interested to see how it sort of wraps up. But yeah, I am just really glad the Stand By Me Alone came along and just pushed me to read this, because otherwise I would have procrastinated this one so bad, even more than I already had. Next up we have Storm of Locusts by Rebecca Roanhorse. This is the sequel to Trail of Lightning, and the second book in the Sixth World Quartet, I think it's going to be. This is the last book that is out though. I am 94 pages into this book out of like 310 or something like that, so I'm about a third of the way through. I'm enjoying it so far. There are some things that I would have preferred were a little bit different, but I can kind of understand where they are, and they continue to be really cool monsters. Like, there's like a big locust creature, which is gross. I hate bugs, so that's fun. And I am hoping to read more of this. I don't necessarily need to finish this one in these 4 days, but it kind of feels like it's short enough and I can just keep going, press through, and make my way through. Another book that I am just starting today is Kiss of Deception by Mary E. Pearson, and this one is a buddy read that I'm doing with Kayla from Crack Into a Good Book. I'm really interested to see what I actually feel about this, because I feel like it has really mixed reviews and it was really popular at one point in time, and I don't know how I'm going to feel about it. So I really have like no expectations for it, which I suppose is kind of a good thing. And then the last book that I'm currently halfway through is Crave by Miranda Silva. This is a collection of short stories, which I thought were going to be about the characters from Priceless, also by Miranda Silva. Turns out no, they're just short story collections of smexy times versus smutty sexy times. And actually I have pretty good reviews of the ones that I've read so far. I think I have 2 or 3 stories left, and they're alright so far. I will tell you more about them when I wrap up the book, so hopefully I can finish that one. I think I've only got about 60 pages left of that one. So those are the books that I'm planning to pick up, put down, finish, read, any and all of the above this weekend. It's been a long day, guys. I'm very tired. I need this weekend. Okay, so it's still Thursday and I've finished the first 7 chapters of Kiss of Deception, and I'm really liking it so far. I mean, it is a bit simple, and like not much has actually happened. It's very much in the setup stage of this book, but I do find the writing is very easy. This book is very easy to read, and I could see myself getting through this very, very quickly. So that's positive, that's a good time, and now I need to work out before I can listen to my A Court of Mist and Fury chapters. So that's gonna be a fun time working out. Not totally sure I'm in frame, but here's hoping I am. So let's do a quick check-in. It is Friday morning and I have finished 2 books since I saw you guys last. Yes, 2, very exciting, much happiness. The first of which is A Court of Mist and Fury by Sarah J Maas, and I did say I was going to finish this one. I only had like 44 pages left, and it is now finished and read, and I enjoyed it just as much this time as I did last time. Although there was a lot less anxiety because I already knew what was going to happen and I wasn't like in mortal fear for all of the characters all of the time. Very much enjoyed this. I'm very glad I reread it, and I can't wait to read the next one. I also managed to finish off the last few chapters of The Stand by Stephen King. Chunky Boy's finished. That's how much I read today. It was about 78 pages, and I finally finished it. I ended up giving it 4 out of 5 stars. I find it quite hard to rate, as the beginning of this book and the middle of this book and the end of this book all have different ratings for me, but I think it averaged out at about 4. I really enjoyed the plague part at the beginning because I just felt like it was so large and sweeping through everyone, and everyone was reacting differently and not realizing what was happening, and I just really enjoyed that part. I think my favorite part of apocalypse books is the actual apocalypse, like the big climactic thing that happens that sort of takes down the world as we know it. That is my favorite part of it, and you know, I enjoy that. The middle part where it's like humans v humans, not a big fan of that. Didn't like it in The Walking Dead, didn't like it in this, didn't like it in any of it. It's not my favorite thing at all. Also didn't love the consistent use of the N-word and the R-word. I mean, I know this book came out in 1978, so that was more common language, but I always find that it's a problem in Stephen King books, so I'm not going to not mention it because it was ridiculously overused, both of those terms, and I really could have done without that. Can we just maybe get rid of those words in future printings? That would be great, but you know. Anyway, I have finally read this giant chunky book. Feel really happy with myself that I finally read it. It definitely counts as an intimidating read. And now I'm going shopping, so I will check in with you guys when I've finished shopping. Went shopping and now I'm back. I did buy a graphic novel. I bought volume 2 of Die. I have the first volume. I haven't read it yet, but I have heard that it gets even better than the first one, which I've also heard is great. So I was like, this is on sale, which was still $8.99, but like better than $14.99, which is what they usually are in the shop that I bought this from. So anyway, I'm gonna go and mow the lawn because there are so many dandelions on my garden and I need to mow them. I'm back from mowing the lawn and doing other compulsory gardening things. I am not a fan of gardening. I'm not very good at it at all. Like, I really have no green thumb at all. It's just not for me. So I have this like patch of gravel that just throws weeds, and every time that I manage to pull all the weeds out, they come back and it drives me insane. So I was doing my first compulsory weed pulling of the year so that I don't look like an absolute scrag in front of all of my neighbours. So I was listening to Storm of Locusts while I was doing that. So, I mean, like, at least something good came out of it. So the first bookmark is where I was at the beginning of the day, and the second bookmark is where I am now. I'm hoping maybe I can finish this one. I have less than 100 pages left, so it's possible, it could happen. I'm enjoying it. It's nice to see more of the world than we did in the last one, and I am just sort of enjoying the apocalypse thing. Maybe this is like a theme for some of the books that I'm reading right now, is like apocalypse, because this is like a post-apocalypse, and so is The Stand. Like, maybe I should read something happy. I need to pick up a romance to be like, oh, something nice for a change, rather than all of the death and the world has ended type books. But this is fun. I'm enjoying this. It's now Friday night and I have finished another book. So I finished Storm of Locusts by Rebecca Roanhorse. I'm glad this didn't leave it on too much of a cliffhanger. I just really wanted to know what happened in this one. I also did really enjoy this book, and I kind of surprised myself because this book was a lot more post-apocalypsy than the previous book had been. I would say that one had more of like a fantasy / monster horror elements to it, whereas this one definitely ventured out into the post-apocalypse wasteland and had more of that human element that I'm not really a big fan of. It had just enough of like the gods and monsters to sort of balance it out for me though. So I ended up giving this one 4 out of 5 stars. I think there was a lot of room for improvement though, because the villain was creepy, bugs are creepy, locusts are creepy. Anyway, here's the cat. Let me talk about the locusts. So the locusts are creepy, and the thought of bugs going inside people is like, ugh. Like, I hate it. I have like nightmares about that shit. I just don't feel like he had very good like motivations, and he wasn't as threatening as he perhaps could have been, as is the same with like the minor antagonists in the book. I also feel like we didn't get to spend as much time with a lot of characters, but I did like the new characters that we had in, like Ben. I really liked her. Are you doing? Go on then. You know, it was an overall pretty good book, and I'm glad that I've read it. And it's another book I've ticked off my 30 books to read before 30 list. So, getting there, we're making our way through, and I feel good to have finished 3 books already in this vlog. I know I can at least finish 1 more, and I'm hoping that I can finish 2 more before the end of the vlog. Let's not be too optimistic about this, but 1 more is definitely going to happen. Okay, so I sucked at vlogging today. Like, so bad, but I also dyed my hair today, so, you know, that's... Look, no roots, just like pink tinged head. So I have done a little bit of reading. I picked up Assassin's Apprentice by Robin Hobb because Assassins in April readathon started today, and I was like, I'm gonna start reading this so that I don't just put it off and then not read it. So I am 108 pages in. That second bookmark is where I'm planning to read up till tomorrow. And yeah, I'm enjoying it so far. It's definitely sort of more traditional fantasy, and I always find that it takes me a little while to get used to those, and I haven't quite gotten into it yet. Like, there's no characters that are really grabbing me at this point in time. I feel like a lot of it is establishing. I tend to find that happens when the fantasy book is about like a child growing up to be this thing, like either a wizard or like an assassin in this case, most likely. We will see how I think of that. I like it enough so far that I want to keep reading, but I'm not like super in love with any of the characters or anything yet, so we'll just see how that progresses. Otherwise, I have also read Kiss of Deception pages today. I am now, you know, a fair bit through this book, probably about a third of the way through. So I'm pretty sure that I know who the assassin is and who the prince is. I'm like really overly confident about it, and I don't want it to be one of those times when, you know, when you think you know and you're like, yeah, it's definitely this, and then you're wrong. Because that could happen to me. It has happened before. I don't want to tell you guys who I think is who, but I'm pretty sure I know. Listen, don't ask me why I'm so far away, I just am. So, let's talk about the books that I have been reading. I read some more pages of Assassin's Apprentice. I'm about 150 pages through this now, and I'm enjoying it more as it progresses, as it starts to sort of move away from him being a boy. Maybe I just don't like children in fantasy books. Or, you know, at all. I'm kidding, I do like children, just I don't like reading from the perspective of children, because children. So this morning I also started A Court of Wings and Ruin by Sarah J Maas, because my buddy read with my friends from around here, not on BookTube, is progressing, and I forgot how much I loved Scheming Feyre. Obviously I can't say any more because spoilers and stuff like that, but I'm just really happy to be onto this one as well, because I'm excited to read this one. Now, what else have I done today? Well, I have been to the cinema and I went to see The Northman, which was the manliest man film that I've ever seen. Such man, such masculine, such screamy, growling, half-naked, oily Viking men. Yeah, that's really the only description I've got for it. It was alright, yeah, it was watchable. Very long, like I feel like it could have been shorter. Yeah, it was a bit weird. Very angry, so angry, much growling, So I've been a little bit remiss and just not vlogged today again, because apparently I'm just terrible at vlogging. But here we are now, and I'm going to wrap up all of the reading that I did today, and, you know, just this vlog in general, because it is the end of the long weekend. So first up, there is Kiss of Deception by Mary Pearson, and I'm 262 pages into this, and there's like 200 pages left. And I'm kind of waiting for the story to happen, or anything to happen really. Anything at all. It's kind of just about this princess who ran away from her marriage and some guys who are kind of like searching for her for their own purposes. And we're just kind of watching them sort of romance each other, but sort of not. I don't know, nothing has happened yet. And I'm kind of just waiting for something to, you know, come out of somewhere and be plot-like. So we'll see how this one goes in the future, but at this point in time, I am not enthralled. Next up, I am 99 pages into A Court of Wings and Ruin, and loving it. Just loving it. Who's surprised? No one. I love these chapters at the beginning of Aqua and just how Feyre is. I don't want to spoil anything for people who haven't read Akawara at this point in time, but if you have, then you know where Feyre is at the beginning of this book, and everything about that situation I just love. It's just great. So yeah, today's chapter is finished just at the beginning of part 2, so the chapter that starts part 2 is the one that I'm at, so I feel like good progress has been made on this one. So I've also been reading Assassin's Apprentice by Robin Hobb. I was listening to the audiobook of this one while I was out doing like a litter picking walk today because there's a bunch of trash just outside my house. So much rubbish all over the street, and I was like, why? Why are we like that? So I went out and I was like cleaning it up, but I was also listening to this. So I was like, reading and being good for the environment, it's, you know, all the good time for everyone. Anyway, I got really into this book, and I didn't pick this book up to be sort of traumatized by some various things that were happening. I thought this was just going to be like boy grows up to be an assassin, standard fantasy, and I know every time I've been listening to people talk about this series and Robin Hobb's writing that I was just going to be like beaten with the tragedies that happen to these characters, but I didn't expect to feel quite as much as I have been in this book, and the more it goes on, the more I'm like feeling the feelings, and I will say that 2 dogs have died so far in this book, and if you know me, then you know that I hate when animals die in books. Now, do you understand why they have died in this book? I hate it, but also, I don't know, it's done in such a way that it wasn't just done for shock factor, it wasn't just done to be cruel to animals. Like, I can understand, I don't like it, but I can understand why the thing has happened, and also just the main character feels the suffering and sadness of the fact that the animals are dying. So I'm like, I can sort of get past it a little bit more than I can in other books. It's not my favourite thing. I am very intrigued in this, and as the book continues, I am more and more intrigued with it, which is great because I started off the book thinking it was kind of going to be a bit meh, the way I felt about The Magician by Raymond E. Feist when I was reading that. Kind of surface level, I didn't get super into any of the characters, and then I started getting into the characters, and now I'm worried that I'm going to end up reading this whole giant series. It's going to happen, isn't it? So those are the books that I am kind of partway through. I also finished off Crave by Miranda Silva. That is a selection of short stories, and I had like 1 short story left. I didn't realise there was only 1 left, but the last short story in that section was a bit longer, and it was a Priceless short story. Priceless is a full-length novel that I read and really enjoyed, and that was kind of why I picked up Crave, because I was like, oh, maybe we'll get some more of the characters, and we did. And I liked it, it was good. This is Priceless. I originally read this one as a Kindle Unlimited book, and it's probably one of the only Kindle Unlimited books that I've actually bought as a physical copy because I enjoyed it that much, because the smut in this book was top tier. It was very well written. I enjoyed that a lot. So yeah, when I was reading Crave, I actually really enjoyed quite a few of the stories. I'm going to say there was only 1 that I didn't really like at all, but all of the other short stories were either pretty good or like really good. So worth reading if you want some smutty short stories. Also pick up Priceless because this book is criminally underrated by the smut community. So anyway, those are the books that I read during this long weekend. I feel like I actually had a pretty productive weekend. I know it's 4 days, but still, it was very productive 4 days. I feel like I made progress with a lot of books, and obviously I finished quite a few books, and I'm happy with that. If you made it this far into the video, please leave me a stack of books emoji because I'd just like to know that you were here. And if you like this video, please leave a like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!